I'm Jeff DeBelko here at the Woodrow Wilson Center Environmental Change and Security Program. I'm with Jim Jarvie from Mercy Corps. Jim is their Director for Climate Change and Environment. And Mercy Corps is, of course, a humanitarian development organization. So Jim, tell me how you square the time frames of climate change, which is obviously a long-term challenge, and the emergency needs of a humanitarian organization.
Well, we have a mission statement, which is to build just, productive, secure societies. But then we live within a funding world which works over 3 or 5 year programs. But from our perspective, and also our peer agencies, we're looking at the long-term development, the long-term gains of a society. We work in countries in transition, and we want to take them from a disaster or a conflict and be part of the process to putting them on a better path, which on the long term means that they are secure, productive and just. You can't do that in a 3-year funding cycle. So the reality is we have 3-year funding programs, 5-year funding programs, but our vision and our scale are to go forward and really make a long-term difference in these societies. That means that the development legacy, and if you like an old school development thinking, the idea would be that you have your project in a community, if it's urban, if it's rural, wherever, you have an intervention and the benefits last for a long time. Climate change makes that different, because the legacy of all of our programming is ultimately threatened. All challenges like water shortage, forest degradation, soil degradation get worsened by climate change, with the new challenges of urbanization on the coasts with increasing sea levels. And unless we actually think about the impact of climate change on our programming is nice, it's probably useful in the short term, but it doesn't do anything to meet our mission statement. And so in order to meet our mission statement, we've got to climate-proof our programming. We've got to make sure that there's an environmental basis supporting economic development and supporting the communities as they go across generations. The practical issues are that we can't put a lot of this into funding proposals. I mean, it needs to be there, but overall it needs to be in our thinking, and it needs to be thought of in that a project actually, in a 3 or 5 year time frame, is contributing to a far longer range thematic direction that we're taking.
And do you see this as a recognition that is spreading among development and humanitarian organizations, or is it, are we at the beginning of this transition to the long-term thinking and bringing climate into your equation?
I think beginning to middle. I think our agency, we've been doing this for 3 years now. Oxfam certainly for a while longer. Other agencies are getting on board. But even in the agencies getting on board at the moment, what I see happening with them is the same as happened with us. We're opening the floodgates. Humanitarian development organizations which aren't doing climate change do have people in there thinking this is incredibly important. And as when our organization actually took climate change on board, it really released a lot of voices and released a lot of passion and energy around this. So it's not that we're coming in and saying, here's something new, let's try and convince the organization as a whole. You're really opening up the channels for that energy to be released.
Mm-hmm. Terrific. Well, I think it's a useful reminder about the timeframes, and it's not just your humanitarian and development organizations that need to do that, but also, as much as you said the funding is important, the folks on the funding side to continue to go beyond recognition of the problem of the short-term timeframes for long-term problems and start reflecting that in the longer term.
Well, I think it's interesting even in the donors that I'm talking with that they feel constrained by those funding cycles as well in many regards. They want to see longer time frames, longer considerations, long-term legacy taken into account. I think it's how we fit that into political cycles, which is the remaining question to be addressed.
Terrific. Well, a few challenges ahead, but thank you, Jim, for sharing these insights.